Hey, good morning, y'all. Happy day 6 of online learning. I hope you've learned at least something these last 5 days or something. And today I just chose the word like Mindfulness Monday. It's just really important to take control of our mind and not let things spiral out of control. And I think it's just one to encourage you and say like it's okay to not be okay. It's just never okay to stay that way. And so like for me, like I've had really good days and I've also had some really rough days during these like last, I don't know, today's March 30th, so I've been in my house since March 12th, so it's like 17, 18 days that I've been here by myself, and I don't know, I think it's okay to grieve, like the loss of school, grieve like the loss of like routine, but we can't just sit in isolation and not be able to pull ourselves through. So definitely call someone if you need to talk to somebody, talk to your parents, talk to your family, and just remember, like, it's all going to continue to improve. And part of how that's going to happen is just you taking like control of your mind, taking a deep breath, and just practicing some mindfulness activities that we also did during class and before school. So hope you all have a good day. Proud of you guys. Hope you enjoy this lesson. Let's get it.
Alright, so here's our bell ringer for today. We're on day 103. Go ahead and click pause. One of the ones that might be really challenging for you guys, and I want you to pay special attention, is to these percentage questions right here. So go ahead and work them out, and I will be back here in a second. Click pause in 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so first we have basically division of fractions. And so you should remember that to divide fractions, you need to follow a couple steps. Keep, change, and then flip. And remember, the flip means to multiply by the reciprocal. That key word there is reciprocal. You have to know it, especially for 7th grade math. So you have 10 over 1. You change the sign to multiplication. And then you multiply by the reciprocal, which is 6 over 5, and then that gives you 60 over 5. Remember, fractions are just division questions, so 60 over 5 is equal to 12. For this one, we have 4/5 multiplied by the reciprocal. Remember, every whole number has a 1 underneath it, so you multiply by 1/5, and you get 4/25. This one is a mixed number, so you have to convert it to an improper fraction. So you do that by doing 6 times 10, which is 60, plus 2, which is 62. So 62 times 10 times 4/3, and you go from there. I'm going to simplify this first. A 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 10 5 times, and now we go 15, and you have 64. 15, 30, 45, 60, so you get 4 and 4/15 should be your answer. So find the LCM. Wow, this is a little bit more challenging. LCM is least common multiple, so you put, and I'm not going to do this question just for the sake of time, because we're just going to have to go out further and further, but you can figure it out if you'd like to and check your answer. So GCF is the greatest common factor, so what you have to do is you do your factor trees. Don't have a ton of space down here, so I'm going to do it up here. So I'm going to do 100. It can be split up by 50 and 2. Circle the 2 is the prime number. 25 and 2. 5 and 5. So that gives me the prime factorization of 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. Then we want to do 75. And we can do 3 times 25. Circle that 3 because it's a prime number. 5 times 5. And the prime factorization is 3 times 5 times 5. The common factors are 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. The GCF, which means the greatest common factor or the greatest common divisor, is 25. So this says mark negative 2.5. and 2.5 and describe why they are opposites. So 2.5 is in between the 2 and the 3. Negative 2.5 is in between the negative 2 and a 3. And the reason why they are opposites is because they have the same distance away from 0, which is also absolute value. I'm going to come back to this section up here. Simplify the expressions. Remember, we are combining like term. When I have a variable with no coefficient, there's always an imaginary 1 in front of each term. So you're just doing 1d plus 2d plus, or 1d plus 1d plus 1d plus 1d plus 1d plus 1d, which gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6d, not d to the power of 6. It's not multiplication, it's addition. Here, I cannot combine the p's with the y's because they are different families. They have different last names. But I can combine the p's, so I get 3p plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 4y. Now this one's a little bit different. Remember, these parentheses mean to multiply. So this is saying w times w times w times w times w, which is multiplication. So we put w to the power of 5. Now for up top, it says 30 is what percent of 60? So we have to set up a proportion. So 30 of 60 is what percent? So we know that. How do I go from 60 to 100? Well, that's not even, so we should just cross multiply and divide by 60. So we do 30 times 100, which gives us 3,000. And then 60, which is equal to 60x. And then we would divide both sides by 60. And we get 3,000 divided by 60 is equal to, x is equal to 50. So it'd be 50%. You can also know this by just knowing that 30 over 60 is 1/2, which is equal to 50%. 90 is what percent of 100. If you remember the definition of percent, it means per 100. So it's 90%. And 30 is what percent of 35. Again, you have to do a proportion. We'll go up top. So we have 30 over 35 is equal to x over 100. Again, we get 3,000 is equal to 35x. Divide both sides by 35. Get 3,000 divided by 35 is equal to 85 and 7/10%. Alright, sorry, that was a lot for a bell ringer, so remember to sign up for one-on-one phone calls. They've been really, really good. We've had 54 done so far. Sign up on the Sign Up Genius. I sent that out on the Everett's once again. Remember, I have a Zoom meeting at Tuesday, March 31st at 11 a.m. I had 48 people register within the first 24 hours. So I sent out email invites to the first 40, and if I have another 15 people RSVP, then I'm going to open up a second time slot at 1 p.m. for a second group of people who want to do it. So if you still want to come, RSVP at the link that's in the Everett's email, but also on my website from Friday, and we can go from there. So if you did not get one yet, double check with your parents, and yeah, I look forward to seeing y'all Tuesday at 11 a.m. when my big head's going to be looking like this kid right there. So remember the projects from Friday. I thought it was a really, really fun opportunity for you guys to get creative. When I had those interviews with a lot of you students, you guys said that you wanted to do projects, but I only had like I think 11 or 12 people actually turn it in on Padlet. So if you did it or you didn't do it and you want to come back and do it today because you didn't feel like doing anything on Friday, would love for you guys still to turn those in. The Padlet link is on the Everett's from last Friday morning, and it's also on my website as well. So please keep turning those in. Check out other people's and comment on it. No, it's not a grade. Yes, it's optional, but I'm just hoping you had an opportunity to have some fun with it. Alright, so today's goal is to find the volume of a rectangular prism with fractional edge lengths. It's a little bit different than what we have been doing with the bell ringers for volume of a prism. So let's dive right in. Alright, but first, what is volume? So no, volume is not the sound on your iPhone or your Android where you just turn it up when you like a song. Yes, I'm corny. But volume is actually the space inside of a 3D figure in which is measured in cubic units. So length times width times height. So to the power of 3. So it's how much space is in a 3D object, especially rectangular prism. You can think about it as a tube of butter. You can think about it as a lot of different ice trays and things of that nature. Boxes of cereal. We're going to have some fun with some volume tomorrow. Alright, so here's a thought-provoking question. Which prism holds more 1 by 1 by 1 cubes, and how many more cubes does that prism hold? So I want you to go ahead and click pause. Remember, volume is equal to length times width times height. So go ahead and calculate the volume of these two prisms and see which one has the greater volume. Alright, welcome back after working it out. So I did 10 times 6 times 4, because remember multiplication is commutative and it does not matter the order that you go in. And I got 60 times 4, which is 240 inches to the power of 3. And then my next one, I'm going to do 8 times 5 times 12, so I get 40 times 12, which is equal to 480. So the larger cube, meaning the space or the larger volume, meaning the space that goes inside of this entire shape, is the second one, and it has room for 240 more 1 by 1 by 1 cubes. So this is the same process, it's just having to deal with kind of those pesky, annoying fractions and getting more comfortable with multiplying fractions. So we're going to do volume is equal to length times width times height, because remember I can write this way because they're all variables. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to multiply 1 1/2 times 3 3/4 first. So we got 1 1/2 times 3 3/4. What's my first step? You should have said that the first step is to convert these to improper fractions. So you do 2 times 1, which is 2, plus 1, which is 3. You have 3 halves. Remember, these are equivalent. And then you had to do 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, 15/4. Multiply across, you get 45 eighths. And then I'm going to simplify, which 45 divided by 8 is 5. And there's 5 left over, so we have 5 5/8. Now, what does this 5 5/8 mean in the context of the question? It means we took this side, we multiplied it by the height, and then now we need to multiply it by 1. But so this one's a little bit easier. So what's 5 5/8 multiplied by 1? Just 5 5/8. 5 5/8. So the volume is equal to 5 5/8 inches to the power of 3, inches cubed. Remember, it's 3D. We're multiplying inches by inches by inches, which is why it is to the power of 3. Now, I want you to go ahead and click pause. Let me zoom in so you guys can see these. Click pause right now and try to work these out. You're going to be really, really frustrated by the fractions, and that's intentional, but this is just how the 6th grade standard is written. Not everything in the world with volume is to the perfect whole inch or centimeter. Okay, so I clicked 4 1/2, multiplied by 2 2/3. This gives me 8 9/2 times 6 8/3. I'm going to reduce, cross simplify. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. 9 divided by 3 is 3. So then we just get 12/1 for these two being multiplied together. So 24/1 times 12/1 is equal to 288 centimeters cubed. If you're confused by the cross multiplying, all I did is just went across and simplified this way, and then this way. You can also do 9 times 8 is 72, 2 times 3 is 6, and go from there, and you would get 12. Now this one is going to be really annoying, so it doesn't matter what we start off with. Let's do 3 2/5 multiplied by 5 1/2. Convert these to improper fractions. 15 plus 2 is 17/5. 2 times 5 plus 1 is 11/2. Nothing to cross simplify, so I just get 17 times 11, which is 187 over 10. And I would divide that, and I would get 18 7/10. But we're not done yet. The biggest trick with these, like, oh, I just did all that work, so I'm finished. You have to remember to multiply by the third side. So you get 18. I'm going to leave it as an improper, actually. 187 over 10 multiplied by 2 3/4. Got to convert that to 8 11/4. And I'm going to rewrite it over here. 187 over 10 multiplied by 11/4. And it's going to give us a massive number. So I'm going to use my calculator. It's going to be 2,054, 2,057 divided by 40. 2,057 divided by 40. That gives us 51. So as our whole number, with 17 out of 40 left over. Ooh, that was a lot. So which one has a greater volume? This is kind of justifying some conclusions. We're almost done with this lesson. So draw a model. You can click pause and figure this out. Draw a model if you need to help yourself out. Here's what it says. A prism with a length of 5 inches, a width of 4 and a height of 10, or a prism with 10 inches of length, width of 5 inches, and a height of 4 inches. Which one has a greater volume? Give you a second to figure that out. Come back when you're ready. Click pause. All right, so my question for you is, what do you know about volume and properties? So you should know that volume is equal to length times width times height. But multiplication is commutative, meaning order does not matter. So you can change the order of what you multiply, and you would still get the same answers. So for example, this first prism is 5 times 4 times 10. That gives you 20 times 10, which is 200. And the second one is 10 times 5 times 4, which gives me 50 times 4, which is also equal to 200. So the conclusion you should have come up with is that they have the same exact volume. So if you want some more practice, then I have like 4 or 5 questions on my website. Feel free to go and check those out. You can download them, do them on notebook paper, do one of them, you can do all of them. It's up to you. There's some challenge questions on there. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, reach out. My cell phone number is 770-855-2017. You can reach out at any time through text, call, or FaceTime as long as you have parent permission. Hope y'all enjoyed today's lesson. It was a little bit boring, but it's a really, really important skill that I need to send you to 7th grade with. All right, y'all. Hope you have a good day. Bye.